Okay, the claim that I'll be responding to is from another student in this class, Ciara, and it states that having high school students take at least one financial class in order to graduate can benefit them long term. The first claim that I will be responding to is that high school students can benefit from learning how to properly file their taxes. I stated that high school teachers should not be dedicating so much time teaching students how to properly file their taxes when many high school students may not even have jobs until after they already graduate. And in this situation, they can learn from family or a different professional on how to properly file their taxes. Time in high school should be spent learning about topics that will further their education, much like we already have, such as English, history, math, psychology. Experience with finances are additional skills learned as we all progress in life. We educate ourselves on finances as we enter adulthood by having credit cards, filing taxes, paying rent on apartments of our own, and owning our own cars. Finances are often better learned with experience. Sometimes we learn best from making mistakes and growing from them. Financial lessons should not be taught by a book. The second claim states that high school students gain financial responsibility when they learn how to manage taking out loans. I stated that there is no reason for a high school student to take out a loan at such a young age. Therefore, they shouldn't have to worry about taking any sort of financial class until college. In college, students take courses that they are paying for and that earn credits towards their degree, in which case may consist of a financial class, and that is what will benefit them and their course load. If someone as a student is interested in learning more about the importance of being financially responsible, they should be given the choice whether or not to take it on their own time. And Ciara's third claim states that high school students can improve their lifestyle when they know how to save money. I stated that high schools should spend more funding on sexual education classes rather than financial classes. High school students benefit more from being educated on sex and the responsibility of being safe, because not being safe risks pregnancy and STDs, which can always cause financial burden. And when learning the responsibility of practicing safe sex and not risking pregnancy and STDs, high school students understand how financially unstable both circumstances can cause someone to be, which will ultimately improve their lifestyle in the future. And in conclusion, I stated that I disagree that the time spent on high school education should include a financial class, because finances are, again, something that we educate ourselves on as we progress in life and have different experiences that teach us more on the matter. Thank you.
Where you identify the main proposition. There's no preview of the secondary claims, but you respond to them as they get to each of those points, so that's relatively clear. Most of your argument on those individual points offers a little bit of reasoning criticism, but no counter evidence to support a contradictory position. You suggest, for instance, that teachers have other things to be teaching their students, and that this doesn't really make much sense since the students don't have jobs. I didn't hear any data that talked about the frequency with which the students would have jobs. I do think that there's probably an argument to be made that says that additional life experience comes, and you've got to learn how to do these things as those experiences come up. I think that that's probably true, but again, this is mostly an assertion on your part. One of the things I think you might point to is the fact that some of the basic skills that students do learn in school have application to taxes. Most of their mathematics skills, for instance, involve calculating what their what their tax liability would be, what their income is, figuring out how to do some simple math so that they can do their taxes. That doesn't seem like it's that complicated a procedure, and it seems like it reflects the basic skills as opposed to having a need for a separate class. I think that might have been a good way to go with that particular argument. In learning about loans, I think you've got a good challenge, again, on the reasoning thing. At that particular age, they're not really taking loans. When they get to college and they're taking loans, that's one of those things where people are going to have to be figuring those things out. I don't remember what the advocate's evidence was on this particular point. If they said that people were being predatory in offering loans to students, whether or not students were incapable of understanding what they're getting involved in when they take a college loan, for example. Also, I do think there's an argument to be made that says the college loans are an effective way of helping students afford college, and in the long run they will pay off, although I do think you need to demonstrate that. That's an assertion, and it would need some proof on that. But basically you come back with a policy argument that says, well, they should be given a choice. Well, okay. But that's a policy claim, and you can't use a policy claim to refute an issue of fact. You could argue that the choice would not be productive, or other choices would be more productive. That would be the way that you would maybe talk about that issue. The third point, you basically make it sound like it's a choice between sex ed and financial education without offering any reason why it would have to be. There's not any evidence that there's a limited amount of resources or time or money for doing those sorts of things. And I thought it was kind of interesting that you used that as an example. I think I might use it the opposite example. Okay, so we have these sex ed classes that people are being offered. Where are you? I know you're out there somewhere. There you are. We've got these sex education classes that people are being offered, and they're still getting pregnant, and they're still getting STDs. If we can't keep kids from doing that sort of thing, what makes you think that, a one semester class in financial education is going to prevent all those kinds of harms? Here we're talking about a life skill that everybody's faced with immediately, and now you're saying, here's something that you could learn now, and maybe in 5, 10, 15 years it'll be important to you. Does that really seem like it's likely to have much of an effect? I think that might have been a better argument to make there, instead of the idea that there's a trade-off. There's no evidence in your argument. Like I said, it's mostly reasoning challenges, and I thought you found some good reasoning challenges, but it needs to be a little bit more developed. All right, thank you.